Imagine uncovering a devastating secret about the person you trust the most. What if the perfect family man wasn't so perfect after all? Stay with us as we unravel the chilling story of Paul Everett, a man whose lies and betrayal destroyed his family forever. Paul Everett appeared to be the ideal family man. Living in the peaceful town of Elk Hollow, he was a devoted husband to Clara and a caring father to his 2 children, Emily and Liam. Paul was the kind of man who never missed a school recital or a family dinner. Known for his kindness, he helped neighbors with odd jobs, donated to local causes, and never seemed to have an unkind word for anyone. But as they say, perfection can be deceiving. Behind the charming facade, Paul was hiding a secret so sinister it would tear his family apart and change their lives forever. Emily, Paul's eldest daughter, had always admired her father. She remembered the way he would take her and her brother, Liam, on adventures in the woods, teaching them how to fix cars and attending every school event. But as she grew older, she began to notice cracks in the perfect picture. Late-night phone calls would stir her awake, and she'd hear her father's hushed tones, speaking to someone in a way that sounded almost intimate. At first, Emily brushed it off, convincing herself it was nothing. Maybe Dad was just working late or talking to a friend. But as the occurrences piled up, her suspicions deepened. There were the frequent business trips that didn't match his job as a mechanic. He'd say he was going to a conference or a training seminar, but when Emily asked him about it, he'd seem evasive or change the subject. And then there were the occasional luxury items that would appear out of nowhere. A gold bracelet, a designer watch, or a high-end smartphone would show up, and when Emily asked her father about them, he'd just shrug it off, saying he'd found a good deal or received it as a gift. But the final blow came when Liam, Emily's younger brother, stumbled upon a dusty shoebox hidden in the garage. Inside, they found a trove of love letters addressed to Paul, signed by a woman named Anna. The letters were old, yellowed with age, and filled with affectionate tone and detailed memories. They revealed a long-term affair, one that had been going on for years, maybe even decades. As Emily read the letters, her world shifted. She felt like she was living in a dream, where everything she thought she knew about her family was a lie. The betrayal cut deep, and Emily couldn't help but wonder what else her father had been hiding. She looked at her mother, who seemed oblivious to it all, and wondered if she knew, if she had been living in denial all these years. Emily's mind was racing with questions, but one thing was certain: she would never look at her father the same way again. The perfect picture had been shattered, and all that was left was a messy, painful reality. The tension had been building for weeks, and Emily couldn't hold back any longer. One evening, as they sat down for dinner, Paul seemed distracted, his mind 1,000 miles away. Emily's anger and hurt simmered just below the surface, waiting to boil over. After everyone went to bed, she cornered her father in the kitchen, her heart racing with anticipation. "Who is Anna?" she demanded, her voice firm but trembling with emotion. Paul froze, his face pale, as if he had been caught off guard. He tried to deflect, to downplay the significance of the letters, but Emily stood firm, the evidence clutched in her hand. The letters, yellowed with age, seemed to burn with a fire of their own, illuminating the secrets and lies that had haunted their family for so long. Paul's eyes darted back and forth, searching for an escape, but Emily's gaze held him pinned, refusing to let him wriggle free. Realizing he was cornered, Paul's shoulders slumped in defeat. He took a deep breath, and the words tumbled out, like a dam breaking under the pressure. "Anna is someone I've been involved with for a long time," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "Over a decade." Emily's heart sank, as if it had been dropped into a deep well, but Paul wasn't finished. He revealed that Anna wasn't just a lover, she was the mother of his secret son, Matthew. The room seemed to spin around Emily, as if she had been punched in the gut. The man she had trusted more than anyone, the man she had idolized, had been living a double life. The weight of Paul's deception crushed Emily, leaving her gasping for air. She felt like she was living in a nightmare where nothing made sense, and everything she thought she knew was a lie. The confrontation had unleashed a torrent of emotions, and Emily was left to navigate the treacherous waters of her own heart, wondering if she would ever be able to trust her father again. Emily couldn't keep this to herself. She told her mother, Clara, who was devastated. At first, Clara was too stunned to respond, but after the shock wore off, anger set in. Determined to uncover the full extent of Paul's betrayal, Clara hired a private investigator. What the investigator uncovered was far worse than anyone expected. Paul and Anna were partners in a money laundering scheme, siphoning funds from a local children's charity. Paul, the man Elk Hollow had trusted and admired, had been stealing from the most vulnerable. The night air was heavy with tension as Anna's car screeched to a halt outside the Harris residence. Clara, who had been lying awake, worrying about the implications of Paul's infidelity, felt a sense of dread wash over her. She knew that Anna's arrival spelled trouble. Before Clara could even process what was happening, Anna burst through the front door, her eyes blazing with fury. The children, Emily and Liam, were jolted awake by the sound of shouting and the crash of the door. They huddled together in fear, unsure of what was unfolding before their eyes. Paul, caught off guard, tried to reason with Anna, but she was beyond consolation. She accused him of betraying her, of abandoning her and their son, Matthew, without a second thought. The argument escalated, with both parties hurling insults and recriminations at each other. But then, in a shocking turn of events, Anna pulled out a gun. The room fell silent, with all eyes fixed on the deadly weapon. Clara's heart was racing, and she felt like she was frozen in terror. The children were crying, and Paul's face was ashen. In that moment, it seemed like time had stopped. The only sound was the heavy breathing of the people in the room, and the only thought was the terrible realization that this argument had turned deadly. Emily and Liam, paralyzed with fear, watched in horror from the staircase as the scene unfolded before their eyes. Paul, desperate to protect his family, pleaded with Anna to put the gun down, but she was beyond reason. Her eyes blazed with a fierce determination, and her grip on the gun remained steady. In a heart-stopping moment, Paul lunged at Anna, determined to disarm her. The two struggled, their bodies locked in a fierce battle. The sound of their labored breathing and the scuffling of their feet on the floor filled the air, and then, in an instant, a single gunshot echoed through the house. The sound was deafening, and the children screamed as Clara rushed to the scene. Emily and Liam were frozen in terror, their eyes fixed on the chaos below. When the dust settled, Anna was gone, fled into the night like a ghost. Paul lay on the floor, bleeding but alive. The bullet had grazed his shoulder, but the emotional wounds cut far deeper. Clara rushed to his side, cradling his head in her lap as she begged him to stay with her. Emily and Liam, still shaken, slowly made their way down the stairs, their eyes fixed on their father's battered form. They knew that their lives would never be the same, that the events of this fateful night would leave scars that would take years to heal. But for now, they just hugged each other tightly, grateful to be alive and together. The sound of sirens pierced the night air as the police arrived at the Everett residence. The truth, once hidden behind a facade of lies and deceit, began to unravel. Paul, his eyes sunken and his face pale, was taken away in handcuffs as the police uncovered evidence of his financial crimes. Paul Everett, a respected member of the Elk Hollow community, was exposed for stealing charity funds, having an affair with Anna, and lying to his family and friends. His reputation was destroyed, and he became the most hated man in town. Anna vanished, leaving behind unanswered questions. Paul's family was devastated, especially his wife Clara, who filed for divorce, and his daughter Emily, who struggled to come to terms with her father's deceit. The family became a cautionary tale about trust and deception. In the years that followed, the Everett family healed and rediscovered themselves. Emily grew into a determined and protective individual, while Clara became a strong advocate for charity reform. Paul served his time and disappeared, leaving behind a legacy of heartbreak and shattered trust. Despite their pain, the Everett family emerged stronger and more united, determined to create a brighter future. Thank you for watching. The story of Paul Everett reminds us that even the most trusted faces can hide the darkest secrets. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more shocking tales from around the world, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Crime Tales Across Times. We bring you gripping true crime stories that will leave you on the edge of your seat. See you in the next story.